Hi and welcome to the channel, and this is the very first episode where I'm actually doing an interview, and this is Mumo Talks About video podcast, and with me here is a guest who is doing something amazing in the crypto space and in the NFT space in Kenya. So I'll actually let her introduce herself, and you can be able to hear about her story as well. Karibu sana. So tell us who you are, your name, tell us something interesting about yourself.
Hi, my name is Mwara Kung'u, and I'm thrilled to be here today. I'm a really lucky person. I wanted some publicity, and Mumo jumped up and down and said, me, I'll do it. So I've been watching him setting up his lights and camera and thinking, my goodness, God is good.
Yes.
Yes. I'm a film and animation lecturer at Multimedia University, Kenya, and that's where we are today.
Yeah.
We are in Ongata Rongai on Magadi Road in a Kenyan public university, and I wish to emphasize that. A Kenyan public university, and we're teaching an excellent film and animation degree to ordinary Kenyan students.
Yeah. So a little about your educational background. How did you end up in film and animation?
I grew up in Odhero, which is a suburban area of Nairobi, and if you drive through it, you will close your windows, and that's what it was always like, a little bit dodgy.
Yeah.
And I was always good at art. I did a B.Ed in fine art at Kenyatta University, and when I came out, I did a long stint while I was in university doing drawing cartoons for the East African.
Yeah.
And so I have always worked in very male-dominated fields.
Yeah.
I drew cartoons for the East African and the Sunday Nation when I was the only woman doing such a thing.
Yeah.
And at some point, when I left university, I went to work in graphic design. I worked for Cool Graphics. I learned to do very fast. I learned to be very fast in graphic design. And then at some point, I realized that the next step in life was to get married and settle down. And I didn't want to do that. So I decided what I wanted to do first was to travel. So I needed a reason to travel. So I thought back what I wanted to do with my life, and I had a problem with cartoons when I was 13, 14. So I decided that what I wanted to do was to go and learn animation and come back and run a cartoon studio in Kenya. And that's what I do. Yeah, so I traveled to England, I did a master's in 3D animation, and then I came home when I was 35 to train animators and start my cartoon studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us a little about your experience now just starting that cartoon studio in the country.
Right. Well, I just came home. I had never worked in a cartoon studio, and I had done an MSc in 3D animation. It took me about 2 years to figure out that I really didn't have the skill, the direction, the skill as a director to bring my vision to life in 3D animation. So then I learned 2D animation. I started with Animo Studio Pro, and then I moved on to Toon Boom, and then I started teaching my students 2D animation.
Yeah.
And after maybe 2 or 3 years in 2018, because I came home in 2011, so it took me a while to work through all those steps.
Yeah.
And then I finally, my second or third class of two students that I taught 2D animation, I had people who were good enough. By that point, I had figured out that if I ever wanted a 10-minute pilot, I'd done it as a 3-minute pilot when I was doing my master's.
Yeah.
If I ever wanted a 10-minute pilot, I had to give up doing all the work myself. So I found some money, and I employed one of my students to sit down. And I started this cartoon studio at home in my spare bedroom, where there was a big machine. I think it was this one actually, and another 2 machines in the sitting room in the end. So in the end, I had 3 animators working there. The whole house was busy all the time.
Yeah.
And we did the first pilot for Almasi, and it wasn't up to par at all. I took it to Discop Zanzibar. I got a lot of feedback. I came home and redid it. And finally, it was good enough to share. So I would say it was June 2020 when we released episode 1 on YouTube, because I have this massive business plan for what I would do if I got all the money straight away, with filling this room with 10 machines and 10 animators, but it wasn't happening and time was passing.
Yeah.
So I decided we were not going to try and make 13 episodes and release them all to a TV distributor. Yeah. I decided we could just release one at a time on YouTube. I mean, I asked some questions. I asked distributors, what if I sell it? What if we get to 13 and a TV station wants to license them? Mm-hmm. And they said, then you will take them off YouTube. Yes. So I was like, oh, okay, fine. Yeah. I can just be releasing one at a time when they're finished. Yeah. So we did episode 1, we did episode 2 in October, and we got a couple of jobs last year, so we had money. So I sent Cheryl and my scriptwriter, who is my mother, who's a master storyteller, and she's 74. She's the scriptwriter and she's the narrator. Yeah. And she's now written up to episode 13. She's written all the scripts, or almost all of them, and in parallel with that job, we carried on all my various fundraising efforts. I did a Thunder Fund crowdfunding early last year, and as part of the crowdfunding, we had to get rewards for people. So it took 6 months, I think. We developed an entire merchandising range. So we have a lovely merchandising range here, like this T-shirt. Yeah. And so we've got solid evidence of the project happening. We've got the 2 YouTube videos. We've got a history. It's now, once we started releasing them, it felt like it was, Cheryl said, this is something we are doing now. Yes. It's not something we are trying to do. Yes. So we're still trying to raise funding so as to buy more software, get machines, pay animators. And meanwhile, we've happened on our latest enterprise to try and raise some funding, which occurred to us late last year. I got into the crypto world at the beginning of last year, and it was maybe October, November that I started watching videos about NFTs. And Cheryl and Collins thought, wow, it was a good idea. So with the last few months that we had, we developed a whole line of NFTs and started uploading them to OpenSea.
I love the story, and I have so many other questions. And I want us you'll now explain to us, because I've heard you say NFTs. Yes. So I want you to now explain to us what NFTs are. Okay. And then what you're doing in the NFT space, because when I looked at it, was very exciting. I want you to give us a little of the behind the scenes of the same. Okay.
I understand that an NFT is a non-fungible token, which means a non-exchangeable token. I don't know why they didn't use just the word not exchangeable. But that's and they've been around since about 2017 when the CryptoPunks were first made. And they went and sat on wherever they were being sold. They went and sat there for 6 months before anyone noticed they were there. And the really important things about a non-fungible token from the point of view of an artist is that it's a contract. It's a piece of digital artwork which is attached to a little bit of Ethereum code, or the code belonging to whichever blockchain you decide to use. So in practice, what I do is I press create on the OpenSea website, and it says upload your file, and there's a choice of 11 different digital files, and then it says choose your blockchain and choose your royalty figure and choose your price. And I'll sell the NFTs for 0.01 ETH, that's about $30 today.
Yes.
And then what is happening is that NFTs are rising in value considerably based on the value of the project that they are an NFT for. And when you sell that NFT again, if you sell it for $200, the studio will get $20. So another $20.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine it with like a CryptoPunk which is selling for $500,000, then the original artist is getting 50K.
Yeah.
So it's not like selling an oil painting where I sell it for 40K, and 5 years later when I've done a ton of work and I'm really famous, you sell it for 400,000 and I don't get any of that money.
Yes.
With NFTs, the track back to the artist is immutable. Every time you sell it, the artist gets a royalty, anything from 1 to, I think 20% is possibly the highest.
Yeah.
And that's why NFTs are important to artists. But there are thousands of possible uses for NFTs. I think we've only just started to scratch the surface.
Okay.
For instance, for contracts. Yeah, but from my point of view, in our project, our NFTs are a set of 10,000 character cards made of characters from the Almasi project.
Yes.
There are 10 characters, and if you collect all 10 characters, a full set of 10 characters, you get your name in the credits of episode 3.
Yeah.
And then you can sell them again or keep them, and we'll have a different selection of cards that you have to collect for every episode so as to keep the secondary market lively. They are beautiful character cards full of gorgeous Kenyan stuff. The beach, the animals, we have a goat skin filter on some of them, and even the color scheme. If you look at the color scheme here, it's the Maasai beads color scheme, which was not intentional. It just came out of the unconscious of all the students.
It's very Kenyan, yes.
Yes, but these were not the colors that I originally made. I don't know if I even gave them colors. It was just that I kept handing out the characters to my students. Please rig them. I think they had to be rigged 2 or 3 times. I gave a picture of Almasi to somebody to make a cover for a business plan. And one day I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute, I recognize those colors. They're the Maasai beads colors.
Yes.
That's so I experienced the color scheme as having come out of the unconscious of all the students who have worked on this project over the years. That's why it's a project that Kenyans should support, because it's a project that celebrates Kenyanness in the newest possible way, right out at the far edges of the front lines of digital innovation.
So I've heard you've talked about now this stopped being just a personal project, and now you are also collaborating with your students as well to make this happen.
Yes.
How has the experience been coming up with one of the first, it's not the very first, but it's one of the first NFT projects in Kenya?
Challenging.
Yeah.
Challenging. Yes.
What are some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, what I've learned most of all in this, doing this whole Almasi project, is just not to be afraid of learning.
Yeah.
And when I came up with NFTs, the first people I discussed them with were the young people, my students, people who had been interns and people who were in class who said they knew about NFTs. So I just talked to everyone. And when they said so and so knows all about NFTs, I went and contacted them and I talked to them until I started coming to the point where whoever I spoke to, I knew more than them. So then we settled down to start doing it, because you can only really learn about something by doing it.
Yes.
Sherald and Collins just got their teeth in it and figured out all the different, how to mix the variables. Collins had to learn how to handle the code in Microsoft Visual Studio to mix them, and then he taught Sherald, and we've had to grapple with this. The animators grappled with the artistic side, coming up with the pictures and how they would all fit together and how they fit together with the narrative and which accessories were workable. And then I had to deal with the blockchain side. So I went and did research as best I could into various different blockchains. Somebody said to me, use Tezos. Tezos is the one to use. So, and then someone else said, no, the Near protocol. That's perfect. So I spent like 3 days staring at my laptop trying to figure out what on earth the Near protocol is. Up to today, I couldn't tell you. I can't tell you. Tezos was too expensive. Was it too expensive? I don't know. I didn't find Rarible. I understand that Tezos can be used on Rarible, but I didn't find that at the time. In the end, I got to the point where my head was hurting, and I was just like, I need to get this thing done. They finished the pictures on Christmas Eve. I think 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve. That's when they finished, and they went off on their break. And then I went home to put all the metadata into a spreadsheet. It took me about 3 weeks of 10 hours work a day, putting the metadata for 10,000 NFTs, and then making sure, and then after making sure that they were all individual. That took ages. That was a real challenge. I had to learn a great deal about. Well, okay, I can't really call it programming. It's how to use macros on Excel, and how to use one or two small programs, small bits of programming. But yeah, I would say that every step has been a challenge. I must have spent about 2 weeks just trying to connect my hardware wallet to OpenSea so that I could create an OpenSea address. In the end, I gave up. I just sent the money from my hardware wallet to MetaMask, and then I did it that way. And at every step we have to learn. So at some point, I added one of the boys as a collaborator on the project, and then we discovered that we can't modify each other's NFTs when somebody's made a mistake. So now everybody just logs in as one person, and we've had to learn every step of the way how to work things. And at first we literally thought we'll just make these 10,000 NFTs, we'll upload them, and people will start magically buying them. No. Then I discovered the Twitter Spaces, and I've spent a lot of my time, hours and hours a day. I would say I've spent about 24 hours this weekend on Twitter Spaces. And what I have found is that it is just fantastic to talk about my project. Sherrod and I agreed that the NFTs were just the perfect way to create a fan club for Almasi. Because Almasi needs a fan club, right? She needs a fan club. She needs people out there. Talking about it and complaining and saying, I want to see her doing this. Why doesn't she do that? And we love feedback. We love input. And the NFTs are just exciting. So when I say we have an NFT project, people are like, prick up their ears, and then I'm like, it's connected to the Almasi project, and the Almasi project is, and people listen. It's just fantastic, and then they'll give me their ideas. And now we've got a couple of people who I'm trying to rope in to collaborate on our team, who are not at all connected with Kenya. They're getting interested in Kenya and Kenya's environmental issues by talking to me and finding out about Almasi and Almasi's world. But people I would never have connected with at all, just because they're NFTs, and NFTs are exciting.
One of the things that I usually tell people to do, especially in this NFT space, is to find an NFT project that already has a roadmap and something that they are going to do with the NFTs. So the one thing that excited me about your project is that it probably started the other way around.
Yes, it did.
You actually already had a project that you were doing, and then now you found that you could be able to now have an NFT project in place. So that's kudos to you and your team and actually what you're doing. The question I have now is, how can people be able to start buying pieces of the Almasi NFTs?
Oh, that is my favorite question.
Yes.
I shall now answer it. You go to Twitter and you look for Almasi NFTs.
Yes.
They're called flutterbuys, our NFTs, Almasi flutterbuys,
Yes.
like butterflies. You go to Twitter, you look for Almasi NFTs. You follow us, and on our Twitter bio, you will find a link to our OpenSea page.
Yes.
And if you go to the OpenSea page, you will find all the NFTs and you can scroll through them. And first you can press the heart button next to them to show which ones you like best. And you can think about it and make your choice. And then you need to connect a wallet. We are using MetaMask, but that doesn't mean you have to. OpenSea has a lot of other wallets that you can use.
Yeah.
And then you can buy some. And they will still be visible on our project page, but then they will also be visible on your NFT page, on your OpenSea collection page, and they'll be. That's how you'll know that they're yours. And you can show us the screenshot of the ones that you've bought, and if you've got a full set of 10, we'll put your name on our website as one of our supporters to go in the credits. And once your name is in the credits, you can sell them again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I had you talk about $30, 0.01 Ethereum
Yes.
is the price right now.
Yes.
Why did you put it at that particular price? I know NFTs sell for huge amounts. Why did you put it at 0.01 ETH?
I wanted to be friendly. I've been running small businesses all my life. I know that the way to make money is to get a little bit of money from thousands of people.
Yes.
And I want it to be accessible for everyone. Ethereum has quite high gas fees at the moment. I think it's probably about between $17 and $20 gas fees to buy one. But I picked Ethereum knowing that eventually ETH2 will come in. So we are set up for the future so that eventually there'll be no gas fees. But right now, while you're buying them at the floor price, you're getting a very low price. I picked it so as to onboard as many Kenyans as possible.
Great. If an artist wants to get into the NFT space, any words of advice that you can give to them?
Pick some good work, do good work. Some NFTs are really ugly and some of them have value for other reasons, but I feel that beauty has a moral purpose of its own. So pick some nice artwork, have it in JPEG format, get yourself some currency on the blockchain that you pick, and go to your NFT website that you pick. There's OpenSea, there's Rarible, but I bet if you Google top 10 NFT websites, you'll find it. You'll find a nice list and you'll be able to make your choice and then upload a few and then start logging into Twitter Spaces and talking about them. Twitter is really the very best place to advertise your NFTs. There's some action on Instagram, but the information that I've been given by people who have now that I've spoken to, have run other NFT projects, is that they, even if they spend money, they get 1 to 2 clicks a day off Instagram and TikTok, but off Twitter you can easily get 17 clicks a day just by spending your time in spaces. And if you have nothing except time to spend, then do that. Get into the Twitter Spaces, make friends, do networking. Everybody knows how to make friends. You offer value, you get value, you make friends. And get out there and tell people about your project and why you need a new laptop, so you need to sell these NFTs. Imagine people are that kind. Yes. They'll buy your NFTs because you said you needed a new iPad.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll do it. Awesome. So go ahead and try.
Yeah.
Get yourself some currency on the blockchain of your choice and pay whatever minimal fees they'll charge you to make your NFT, and then start trying to sell it. Now that I'm a bit more experienced, I think I would probably have started with maybe 12 and sold those and then built on that. So I would suggest that for the individual artist, that is probably the best pattern to follow. NFT communities tend to congregate on Discord spaces. Discord was once a gaming social media platform. And I know that some Discord spaces are very busy, but we haven't managed to cause ours to be terribly busy on Almasi yet. I have most of my conversations by Twitter DMs.
character.
Yeah.
Can you share with us just one or two things we can expect from the Almasi project? Not the NFTs now, the project itself.
Well, the first thing you can expect is episode 3.
Yeah.
When it finally happens. yes. And our project is growing very organically. So we have our narration in English, and the song was in Kiswahili because I started when I was living in London, and Kiswahili was the obvious Kenyan language to use. But it so happens that when we asked a musician to write a song for episode 2, he came and he played it, and we looked at him and we said, "That's nice, but it's not Kiswahili." He was like, "Oh, I forgot! I was told to make a song about children coming home at night, and it just came out in my language. It was Dolu."
Yes.
So that has become part of the pattern of the Almasi project. I think we can expect songs, in original songs, in other Kenyan languages, and in the end, we'll have 13 episodes for season 1. And in the end, she plays in the coastal forests and the beaches in season 1. But then we'll have an entire season where Almasi and her cousins will play in Nairobi, all Nairobi's outdoor spaces, and then lots of other locations in Kenya. I'm already doing plans for Almasi Goes North to Turkana and to Gurunit and the springs there. And we'll need to do Almasi Goes West as well. We are going to be doing an overview of all the most gorgeous Kenyan landscapes. That people can take their children to visit.
I think what's exciting me is the fact that as Almasi is going to different places, teaching children about different adult-like things, like episode 1 is about deforestation and the effects that has on the environment as well. And what I like is the fact that, you have this African Kenyan cartoon character that is relatable even to the children. When they look at Almasi, they're actually seeing themselves. And for me, I just think you're doing a very wonderful job and in a very new space. So all the best to you and your team. Thank you for allowing us to just share this story. And
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to buying a number of Almasi NFTs as well.
Thank you.
And as I do that, I'll actually show you guys in a tutorial as well, so that you can be able to follow along and be able to support the Almasi NFTs.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to any feedback or support that people can give. Really, even the most minor things. One of my friend's daughters watched episode 1 and said, "I want to see Almasi eating rice with her fat cheeks moving around while she eats." So Almasi eats rice in episode 2. And it's just that simple. I would just like to have a child out there that people can buy the t-shirts and the wall decals and the water bottles, and just have something that shows children in Kenya that they exist in the digital world, that they exist in the stories that the world tells, and that where they are is the center of the universe, and they can make a difference here.
Awesome. That has been Almasi NFTs, and the biggest kind of project that has started in the country. I know there are other NFTs that have been done by Kenyan artists and photographers as well, but I wanted to showcase this so that you can be able to see that as NFTs are happening, it's not just happening outside the country, it's also happening in Kenya, and you can also buy and support different projects that are there in the country. I'll see you in the next one.